In a galaxy far, far away, there exists a group of fierce and fabulous women who are on a mission to explore the depths of pop culture. They are the Galactic Gals, and they are here to take you on a journey through the cosmos of entertainment. From the latest TV shows and movies to a trip down the Milky Way of nostalgia, they will delve into the worlds of fantasy and imagination, bringing you insights and analysis that are out of this world. So buckle up, cosmonauts, and get ready to blast off with the Galactic Gals Pop Culture Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Our episode
Hey, everybody.
number 4. How is everybody in the chat? Looks like you guys are like having some good conversations there. Yeah, when Dean, I had to do it. Maybe the next one I'll put Crowley in. Yeah, and the only original.
Hulk. Yeah. Love Bill Bixby.
Yeah, honestly, when that segment comes on, I get like chills because it's like I remember watching that show when I was young and just like loving it. It was kind of what me and my mom, like we had that thing, like she liked it and we watched it together. So that was kind of our thing. She wasn't into much of that, but like that was one show she would actually watch. And so we kind of sat down and watched it.
That was a show that my parents would actually watch.
Yeah.
So I mean, they weren't into the sci-fi or anything like that either. And they would watch Wonder Woman too. So
yeah. And I think it's because the way they did those shows back then, they did them more of like appeal to the masses instead of just fans.
Yep.
So I think, but they knew how to do it. It wasn't like they weren't doing it like to piss off the fans. The fans liked it too, but it just happened to be like everybody, tended to like it, even if you weren't like a comic book fan. So that was the neat thing about that. So there's been a lot of roller coaster fandom stuff lately. You probably have seen a lot of it. I know you have.
Yeah.
It's people just kind of losing their minds over all this, and I get it. I do. It really is crazy. It's a crazy when you're in fandom. It's like the interesting thing is, since I got away from YouTube, I started talking to just regular people. Not that we're not regular. We're not regular. We're
right.
Cool, but we're weird, but good weird.
Right.
just normal people, normies that don't really watch. I mean, they're not deeply embedded in the whole fandom experience to where we're just like, they know everything about the show. They need, like, just like with us with Doctor Who, right? We tend to like obsess over it and kind of like get books and kind of collect things. And
Yep.
I mean, just the normies. And what's interesting is that they honestly, the things that we care about, they really don't care about.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Um,
some people try to live and emulate the characters that they're drawn to. They try
right,
to actually live their lives by that.
right. And
So, which, you know, can
yeah,
be good or bad.
right, right. And I don't really see an issue with that. I think if it makes you happy and you're not like hurting anybody, go for it. You know, like
Yep.
I collect a lot of Doctor Who stuff and other pop culture stuff, and I like learning things about the shows I'm into and getting really deep into them. Some people don't. But what I noticed was like if they don't like something, they just turn it off and just move on with
Hmm.
their life or try something, find something else. So um I'm trying to do that. It's very difficult because when you love a show as much as Doctor Who, as much as
Hmm.
I say things aren't going to upset me, they kind of do sometimes. It depends on what it is, but I don't know if you're the same way. You know, you kind of get wrapped up in going, what are they doing? Right? What is their goals to
Yeah.
making some of these shows? But it's interesting, you know, when you step away from this world, you realize that people aren't they don't really have they just like, well, I just didn't like it and I just stopped watching it. That's the end of their story. But
Yeah. Yeah. Even Retro Doc, he said there's fandom for actual Doctor Who, then there's fandom for whatever this current thing is. I have to
right, right.
agree.
It's two different worlds, and I think the problem is that definitely clashing on a lot of things.
Hmm.
Um and definitely understand the side of being upset. I do totally understand it. My thing is here lately is that I'm trying to do this because I think that in the end it's the best way to do for your health
Hmm.
and also for just we don't know. And the truth is, yes, it looks like, you know, this is painting a very clear picture, but it may not. And so I did the same and people didn't know me then, but when Jodie was announced, I wasn't happy. I was not
Right.
happy. But I had decided I'm not going to make any kind of prejudgments until I see it. And then once I saw it, and then over time that's when I started getting angry when I saw it. So for
Hmm.
me, like that's how I do it. I don't like again, people didn't know me back then. So but before I got into all this and I was kind of just by myself in the fandom, by myself it means I look at forums, but I wasn't like friends with people that, you know, I was kind of all by myself, just kind of, you know, getting into the show and kind of slowly because of Capaldi, that's when I kind of started getting obsessed with it. So kind of on the tail end. So
Right. Right.
yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, um, you know, hold back on my judgments about what he's going to do with Doctor Who, and we'll get to that. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
we're going to start with, we're going to start with something a little bit more like not Doctor Who. We're going to save that to the last because most of the stream is about Doctor Who. But I
Hmm.
touch on this because I think that there's too many remakes being made. I don't know what you think.
Too
Um,
many. Too many. What now?
remake, you know, like then taking a show that was made 20 years
Oh,
ago
yeah.
and then deciding, okay, we're gonna do better than Peter Jackson did.
Yeah. I think somewhere I've seen they're going to remake. Oh, The Big Bang Theory, which I love. The Big Bang Theory. They're going to remake The X Files, and I'm like, why mess with those shows? They're
Right.
already great the way they are.
I think the truth is that they're out of ideas.
Hmm.
And number two, um, they want to change they want to change the diversity. That's the only two things I could come to my conclusion of, especially with Lord of the Rings.
Hmm.
Um, I could be wrong. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't want to see it. I have no interest in seeing a remake of The Lord of the Rings. It was perfect. It was a
Yeah.
perfect 3 trilogy films that was beautiful. In my opinion, the direction was great, the casting was perfect. You can't and poor Elijah Wood in this article is really trying to stay positive, but you can tell there's that little bit of fear that even he has that this legacy that he helped create is going to be destroyed.
Yep.
And I have news for you, Elijah. It probably is, but again, I don't know that for certain. I just feel like even if they don't make it woke, what's the point? You know?
I get it.
So he goes on to say, let me see if I can't, this is small. I don't know why I can't see this, but he goes to say that Jackson's Lord of the Rings didn't come out of that place. It came out of passion for these books and wanting to see them realized. And I hope that this is ultimately what will drive everything forward with whatever these subsequent movies are. I just hope that it's the same motivating factor at its core. Whenever they hire a screenwriter and filmmaker, that it's with reverence for Tolkien's material and enthusiasm to explore it. The original screenwriters and filmmakers behind Wood's Lord of the Rings films, Jackson, Fran Walsh, and Philippia Boyens, said in a statement right after the announcement that Warner Brothers and Embracer have kept us in the loop every step of the way, and we look forward to speaking with them further to hear the vision, the franchise moving forward. This leaves the open possibility that these new films could feature creative input from the team behind the original films, Andy Serkis, who played Gollum outside of Wood's Frodo, and in subsequent interview that he would jump at the chance to work with Middle Earth projects if Jackson, Walsh, and Boyens are involved. I just don't think they're going to be involved.
Yeah.
I mean, because why? Why would they be involved in a remake of something that they made 20-something years ago that was perfect, in my opinion? I don't know. Were you fans of the Lord of the Rings films?
Yeah, I like them, and I like the remake that Peter Jackson did with Martin Freeman, The Hobbit, and those series. Loved them.
Yeah.
Play those movies actually often and fall asleep to them. So yeah,
So you like the full shebang.
Right. Those, yes. I love the animated Hobbit movie from back in the 70s.
Oh yeah. I watched that recently. It was great.
Don't mess with something like that. Just leave it alone. You know? It's great the way it is. Yeah. Stop taking everything and making it woke.
Well, and I think other than just them they're out of ideas, which I don't think they're just out of ideas. I think that they want to make it more inclusive and diverse. And with the series, which I did start watching, it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. It was a little bit more understandable, and because it's kind of like supposed to be a prequel thing, even though Tolkien didn't write any of it.
The Amazon series.
Mm-hmm. But I got bored with it because it focused too much on Numenor and just some really it was so slow. And Jason finished it, but I couldn't really get into it as much as what, obviously the Tolkien works. Yeah. It wasn't the worst thing, but it was more like just it's boring. A lot of it. And I think there was too many episodes, and it just didn't hold my interest. So I just stopped watching it. I still haven't finished it. I think this is a worse thing to happen, because this is you're taking something that's already been made and you're going to make it, who knows what you're going to do with it. And I that concerns me more than actually what's going on with Doctor Who right now, because that means why? I mean, actually, I think I'd be more concerned if they were trying to remake Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So I think that is what that stems from.
I can't see any Tolkien or his family, if he has any left, saying, sure, go for it. He had a specific ideal set that he wanted to do. And that's what and I can't see that changing. Don't want to see it changing, really.
Gary says Whoopi Goldberg will be playing the new Gollum, and Joy Behar will, of course, be Sauron. That might actually work. That's good casting. That's actually really good casting. I could see that.
That's a show for another day.
and I'm not trying to body shame, but Whoopi Goldberg, if they ever recast Return of the Jedi. Just saying. A Jabba the Hutt. Just saying. But yeah, I don't think anybody wants this. I don't even think people that are woke want this. I don't think they're having any interest at all. Some things can be made for a new generation. There are maybe a dozen Jane Eyres, 5 or 6 Pride and Prejudices. Some are good and some suck. Yeah. I mean, I get it, but I think it's too soon. 20 years is 20 years isn't that old to me. Now, if it was like 80 years old and we're all dead, we don't have to see it. Fine.
Yeah.
When you make Doctor Who, just do it after I'm dead. I won't care.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. Whoopee the Hutt. That's funny. That's what Archer says, Whoopee the Hutt.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. I mean, she was okay. She was actually okay in Next Generation, but
I just like the character.
Yeah,
just the
character's fine. It's just
yeah.
Just, but she's not as bad as Joy Behar. Joy Behar has just got a mouth on her. She's just ridiculous. Yeah, Sauron is actually like too intelligent for Joy Behar. So, all right. So let's move on to something a little happy. I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at it. Here is the photo that was that Doctor Who on Twitter site posted on David Tennant's 52nd birthday. Yeah, 52. Looks pretty good for 52, I think.
He looks mighty fine for 52.
I actually think, and looking at the picture of him as 10, you know, when he debuted, which is he was about 34, I think, at the time. I actually think I like the look of the 14th Doctor more than the 10th Doctor, even when he spikes his hair up more. And I know he's in Eccleston's outfit, but
yeah,
just the way his face, he's just matured facially, and I think it looks more doctorly. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but
it does,
or to anyone. But yeah, I actually think that he looks more like the Doctor now than he did back then, which is, I thought he looked pretty doctorly back then, but now he looks even better.
He doesn't look like a starving artist now. So yeah, I get it.
Right. He looks more like, of course I like an older Doctor. So that could probably say he looks more mature, and like hopefully he's much more, I hope he's a different Doctor.
Well, I guess we'll wait and see. I'm
interested
I don't know.
To see.
He may play him close as he did the 10. Because what gave me that clue was when he regenerated and he's like, what? And he he knew he'd been there before.
Yeah.
So.
I mean,
it'd be nice to see him play him a little different.
Right. So. I think I think a lot of people are hoping. Maybe there's people that just want more of 10. I particularly don't. I want to see how he can change the Doctor's personality, just be different, just a little. It doesn't have to be completely, but just something different, that feel like we're actually getting a different Doctor. I think he's the actor I think he's able to do it. I think he's definitely able, capable. Yeah. Jodie Whittaker's not. But David Tennant definitely is a great actor, and I think he could pull it off. So I'm actually looking forward to the 60th. I know a lot of people all this stuff I'm going to show next, it has put a lot of people off. But again, I haven't seen any of it. I haven't, they're just now filming season 14. I haven't seen any of it. Once we get a trailer, I think we'll have more of an idea about how these characters are going to play a part.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard to say. We've only gotten one trailer for the 60th, and that's it. So I'm looking forward. I don't know about you, but
well, I'm anxious to see how it's going to go. I'm holding back reservations for now, but looking forward to seeing David Tennant. Looking forward to seeing Ncuti. His new interesting outfits that I've seen floating around. I mean, we're definitely going to talk about those outfits. I actually scoured the internet yesterday late because some of they released more pictures after they released the initial one. So if you haven't seen them, it'll be a really treat. If you have, it's still a treat because I think they look great. Retro Doc says
Sorry. I'd like him to play 14 more like his Good Omens character.
Now that would be interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I think there's still of that 10th Doctor in there a little bit with the Good Omens character, but I kind of want it, the family of blood. That's what I want. Like, I totally want the family of blood Doctor. I want it to be like, like fun, but I also want more of the family of blood. No
The
second chances.
darkness.
Yeah.
Darkness in him that
Right,
he could
right.
unleash. Yep.
Right. I want more of that. It can be fun, but Maggie Heron says I'd watch it just for David Tennant. Yeah, I know you would. I know you totally would. And yes, and I think that is the episode, and I'm not sure if it was The Girl in the Fireplace or Family of Blood, but I think Family of Blood is the one you told me to watch, but it could have been the other one. Maggie is the person that got me into Doctor Who.
Okay.
She kept on and kept on and kept on. You need to watch Doctor Who. You need to watch Doctor Who. Fine, I'll watch Doctor Who. And I started watching it. So that's a whole other story. I've said it 1,000 times. The Unquiet Dead is the one that got me into Doctor Who. And then I understood it. And from then on, it's like it was like, down my path of, destruction, I guess. But yeah. So the only thing keeping me interested, it's a new series, is Shooty at the moment. Yeah, I can see that.
And I can relate to that.
Yeah. Tennant in the 60th is supposed to be the 14th Doctor, so perhaps there'll be difference in his performance. Yeah, I see, like I made you watch Blink. See, I don't remember it that way. That's weird, but okay. I actually didn't take your advice. I actually started watching from Rose. So, and I thought I was watching the first episode. Yeah, that wasn't the first episode. It was New Who. But since then I've rectified that and watched the first to unfortunately the last one, which would be The Power of the Doctor, which but the last one to me is The Doctor Falls. Okay, so let's move on. I think we've gazed at David Tennant long enough. Some people think that's not enough, but okay, so let's go to the controversial subject, which is Jinkx Monsoon's costume that was unveiled, a week ago, 4 or 5 days ago? I don't know. It's been all a blur. But people would say 99, it seemed like 95% of people aren't happy about this, but maybe it's just in my circles that I'm kind of in an echo chamber. So I don't know what you think about this. I have my own thoughts about it, but that probably don't agree with most people in the chat.
Well, the costume that they have him in, it's brilliant. But I'm trying to figure out, okay, so is he going to be an alien? Is he going to be possessed? Or what? Obviously he's not Celestial Toymaker, because that's
no
Patrick Harris's character.
No.
But is he an instrument that the Celestial Toymaker is going to use?
Right. That's what I was thinking as well. And because according to IMDb, and I unless they changed it, he's supposed to be in the last episode of the 60th, which I'm thinking maybe at the very end or something. Mm-hmm. And then he's going to go into 2 more episodes with Shooty and them. So maybe I'm thinking maybe he's like an associate, like a how Batman villains, they have like associates, this is what this kind of reminds me of, is a Batman 1966 villain. Very campy, but I'm not scared of. I don't mind it. I really I understand why people are upset because of the social climate, the political social climate right now. But I don't really know what he's going to do, as long as he doesn't make comments about reading to children or anything where it's going to trigger people. I don't really have an issue with it. What he says, what Jinkx says on Twitter, I don't really care what he believes in. I don't really care, as long as it doesn't affect his performance, and as long as that ideology is not brought into the story.
Yeah, as long as he can act the part, period, and leave the politics outside it.
Right. I'm fine with it. Again, I haven't seen anything. I've seen like him pose in the costume. I didn't bring the video in, but he talking about this is his costume and he's kind of trying to play it like a villain. And people need to keep in mind, like, this character is not going to be on every single episode. I wouldn't assume that he's going to be in every single episode. So he's just one little tiny character that maybe to some people it's not about that. I get it. It's about, you know, this political climate about drag queens and stuff. But we've had drag queens in shows since the 60s. And I mean, I get it. I do understand why people are upset, but I'm gonna wait and see. I'll be extremely mad if he brings politics in this. Trust me. If he just brings politics in every single episode and it's just like he's hammering us every week with some kind of like social, political, climate change crap. Yeah, I'll be the first one to like rise up against it. Definitely.
Well, yeah. But if he can entertain, then go for it.
I mean, it's pretty scary, right? I mean, you look at him like, would you want that? Like waking up to that?
That look right there in that particular photograph. Well, I'm thinking Stephen King's It and the clown.
Yeah. That could be. I could see like this, you know, end of it because Classic had some zany characters, right? They did, and I could see like, you know, him reaching, you know, and like, you know, the companion or whatever, like he's reaching out and like, you know, the music starts at the end and it cliffhanger, you know.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of what that reminds me of. I mean, to put the best, you know, to shed the best light on it. But again, I get what people are upset. I totally get that, but we haven't seen 1 second of it yet. So let's try to like take deep breaths and remember that again, we can't make I don't think we should make I don't think people should make judgments until they've seen it. I don't care what the map looks like. It's pointing to this. I don't care. Because, you know, have you ever made a recipe and all the ingredients look like, ugh, that sounds disgusting. Ugh, I wouldn't eat that. And you make it and it's delicious.
Yeah.
So that's the metaphor that I'm trying to put across. But again, I understand when people are upset. You know, I do. I wouldn't have done this if I was RTD, but
yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think what could he be? You know, I mean, my interest is peaked.
Right, it is.
So, I mean, going by the costume there.
There's rumors it's going to be a musical episode. I think that's just people's worst fears. That's my worst fear, actually, because I hate that.
I don't want a musical Doctor Who. Just no.
No. They tried that in Big Finish.
No.
Yeah.
No.
The Pirates, where you hear Colin Baker break out in song in the middle of the story.
No.
No.
No, I'm not no. The only musicals I like are like Phantom of the Opera and stuff like that.
Right. That's cool. Yeah. That's cool stuff, but not this. No music in Doctor Who. It would be a good Hansel and Gretel type villain. Yeah.
Maybe.
I can see that. Yeah, she looks like a witch. Is it Jinkx Monsoon or Jinkx Monsoon? Probably Jinkx, I'm thinking. I think it's Jinkx Monsoon, but Jinkx Monsoon is really kind of, I mean, that would be a better name.
Yeah.
They thought the Candyman and Sly season was going to be good. Yeah, I get it. I do like that episode. I know what episode you're talking about. But yeah, I liked it. I just didn't like the Candyman very much. I thought that was stupid, but the show as a whole was really cool. We did that on the Script Doctors. We actually did. I had a pink wig. I was I was the main one of the main villains in that. There's supposed to be a monsoon later tonight here. Well, there you go. There you go.
Somebody asked if it's that Bette Midler time mechanic.
Yeah, a lot of people like it says it looks like one of the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus, and I can't disagree with that.
Well, maybe a witch character then.
If they made a musical of Hocus Pocus, he'd be perfect because apparently he sings. So
just not in Doctor Who, please.
And I'm sure that somebody out there that watches this, if they do, um, yeah, I'm sure that I'm gonna get it for like, uh misgendering him, but homie don't play that. Homie don't play that. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Um yeah, and like I said, he looks creepy. He reminds me of something from Classic, and maybe that's what he's trying to do. I hope so. I hope that's his goal. I hope it's not political. I really do. I know people are just like, yeah, they're losing their minds over this. So it is what it is. It really is. So my Doctor Who worst fear was whatever was to come after Jodie was even worse than her incarnation, began to look like nightmares do come true. I mean, I get it. I think that people have a lot of fear. They're thinking the worst because that's what they fear. And granted, it's okay though, because you know what, you always have what came before, and you always have to remember that there's plenty of stuff from Big Finish to older Big Finish and older episodes and books and things that you could just, you don't like this, then you can just, I mean, that's what I did, and I could survive again. So
Right. Same.
yeah. So let's go on to the new costume for Shooty, which I absolutely love. I have to say, I love this. And I know people think he looks like Shaft, but whatever. It'll still be entertaining. I'm fine with that. It's like, I like the 60s. I really love these pictures that they did. I think they're really great. Him and Millie look fabulous. I think it's great. I love it.
Very
To me, this is
Austin
more,
Powers. Yeah.
yeah, very classic. Yeah. Yeah, it is. But I think hopefully it won't be Austin Powers. Um I do love Shooty in the blue suit 60s vibe. I do too. I don't think he's gonna keep this. I think this is probably just for an episode, but
So I wonder then, if they're going with the 60s vibe, what stories could they possibly be telling then? Because the 60s, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on in there, a lot of historical stuff.
yeah, maybe they're gonna bring that back. Hopefully they're not going to mess up any kind of historical events. Like Rosa. Like
Well,
they did with
the only
that.
thing I can think of would be like Martin Luther King, the Kennedy assassination.
I just hope they don't do that, because I think if you do that, people are gonna like compare it to Rosa, what Chibnall did with Rosa. And I mean, again, if they come out and they say they're gonna do a historical episode about Martin Luther King, I'm gonna like, whoa, okay, how are you gonna do this now?
Yeah.
Because if you start bashing white people, if you do that at all, like Chibnall did in Rosa, it's over, man. You're not coming back from it. So I really hope it's a fun story. Let's just do fun. All I care about is just show me fun. Just show me escapism. That's all I care about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those are the historical figures that pop into my head.
Yeah.
Maybe something to do with getting to space. I don't know. I don't know why else he would be.
I do think that the racial thing is going to be brought up.
Could be,
especially if it's in the 60s. I'm telling you, it's going to get brought up. I mean, but that is understandable. Just don't make every white person in the show like all racist. Like he did. Chibnall did that in Rosa, but this is not Chibnall. This is RTD. So I don't really know how he's going to play it.
Well, maybe if he starts to think that way, maybe that's why the companion Millie there.
Now, we don't want them to go back to the 60s and assassinate William Hartnell, because if they assassinate William Hartnell, then there's no Peter Capaldi, and that's right. Blue Body, they won't be very happy. Okay, so just saying. I think these publicity pics were quickly released to distract from the backlash against the Jinkx nonsense. Possible. Yeah, possible. They want to give you something positive after, they truly do. They want to give you something positive back. And I get it. I mean, I fall for it. I mean, it looks cool. all the pictures. I mean, I don't really think this is going to be something he's going to be wearing every episode, though. I think the leather jacket and the orange is probably going to be his main outfit. I think this is just a one-off. And somebody said that, well, William Hartnell didn't worry about where he was. He just wore whatever he had on. Again, this is kind of a New Who thing where they change their outfits to match the times.
Mm-hmm.
I would be fine with him just wearing his regular outfit, but this is cool, So yeah, there's the pictures, and we'll talk about this in a minute. But yeah, so what does everybody think? Everybody like this? Everybody think it's just too much? Or I heard somebody say, and actually I unfollowed the page after I saw it because I thought it was like, come on, man, you're just really reaching here. Like, look what they're doing to black people. Like they're stereotyping them. It's like, how is this a stereotype? This is how people dressed in the 60s.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you're referring to like Shaft, well, that's how they dressed. It's like, that's not a stereotype. That's how they dressed.
And men had afros like that. Some
They
a lot
did.
bigger than that.
Yes. Oh,
That's
yeah.
just, that's
yeah,
just part of the
he
culture.
could actually play Jimi Hendrix. Wow, we need to get that biopic, man. That would be great. He would be great as Jimi Hendrix in a movie. Never thought of that.
He would make a good Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, we're already getting Shooty some roles and some. See, hopefully the new Doctor will be stopping Jodie getting on Rosa Parks' bus. Yes, that's a good one. Hopefully, that was I know you didn't watch the Jodie era, but that was a terrible episode.
I'm sure.
Sorry, but for me, the look is almost as bad as Colin Technicolor Dreamcoat. Hey, that's your opinion. That's totally fine. All opinions welcome. You don't have to agree with me. It's totally fine.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I was shocked. I'm like, what? But now that I think about it and think about the time period, it's like, okay, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's groovy, baby.
Yeah.
And I like it. Of course, I like anything 60s and 70s. So, and I do love her outfit. We've talked about his outfit, but we didn't talk about Millie's outfit. And I love her earrings. I love her hair. It. I love the way they do her makeup, and I love the way she looks like a companion that would have been hanging out with Hartnell. It's really great. Andy, if you mention a really terrible Jodie episode, you're going to have to be more specific. All of them.
Yeah.
The only scene that's good is when she regenerates into David Tennant. I almost said Peter Capaldi. That would have been great.
It would be nice.
Okay, so we're going to talk about another subject that, speaking of Chibnall, yes, we're going to talk about Chris Chibnall expects his Doctor Who stories to be contradicted. Former Doctor Who showrunner Chris Chibnall has opened up about how he expects his stories to be ignored and contradicted. We would like to ignore your stories too, Chris. You're not the only one.
Yeah.
The writer who stepped down from the show last year, followed Jodie Whittaker's final episode, The Power of the Doctor, said he would be arrogant to expect his stories to be built on or developed in the future of Who. Well, if they were any good, you would have enough of confidence to say, I think that RTD would be great to expound on my great idea, but it's not arrogant to have good ideas. The only reason you're saying that is because you haven't ever had a good idea, Chris. And maybe the first season of Broadchurch, that was, and who knows if you wrote that. I don't know if you wrote it now.
I have no idea. I'd have to go back and actually look.
Yeah, I mean, he was the creator of that show, and he wrote some Torchwood as well. But all the Torchwood episodes that I watched that I hated, he wrote them. So, I think you have to be very okay with you do your work on the show during your time, and the moment you step away, the moment you stop, then nothing is in your hands, and other people will come in Yeah, and he goes on, blah, blah, blah. I would be very arrogant of me to sit here and go, what I really hope is they're going to expand the story with this and that and the other, given that I have taken the works of others and turned it inside out and questioned it and remolded it some of the answers. This is why your scripts make no sense, Chris. Chibnall added, I have nothing to add, no expectations. I would imagine it will be ignored, contradicted, double back on. It would be anything that's okay. He's talking about like if it was going to be retconned or not. And I don't think it's going to be. A lot of people are saying now because of this article that RTD is going to retcon it. I really don't think that is going to happen. If anything, it might be ignored. It may actually be celebrated. I don't really know because no one's seen any of it.
Yeah, it's one of those where we have to wait again.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's how life is. You have to wait. But I'm not going to like put all my chickens, in one basket and go,
right.
he's going to save the show. And I hear a lot of people say that. It's like, when you do that, you're going to be very, very disappointed because I don't think he's going to retcon this. I really don't. I think at best it'll be ignored, but don't be surprised if it's celebrated.
Yeah.
Or it's mentioned. I don't really care. As long as you put out a good show, if you can mention it here and there, it's not going to trigger me so bad I'm not going to watch it. I would rather you not, but look, if they were going to retcon it, they wouldn't be putting out all this stuff with her in it.
True.
Still, they would be just wanting to forget and like, let's just not focus on Jodie and let's focus on David Tennant and Judy. But they're still putting out merchandise with her on it. With another doctor, but still. So I would think if they were retconning it, they wouldn't be putting stuff on her with it, because
I think they're putting her out there to still keep everybody interested in everything for those that do like her.
Right. And that's fine if people like her. It's like she's going to be unfortunately part of the Doctor Who lore now. Unfortunately, I mean that's just the way it is. And if you're not okay with that, then you have what to do. Don't watch it or don't support it. To me, that was never like anything that just put me off to watching any more Doctor Who if it's good. So not happy, but and he could retcon it. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. But again, we haven't seen any of it. If he knew that his huge dismemberment of the character and demolition of the very foundation the show would be later dismissed, then why do it in the first place? Because he actually didn't know. He's too stupid. He's really stupid. And he thought people would like this. I really do think he thought people would really be into this. Because he lives in his own bubble and he doesn't know that people don't think like he does. That's why. I mean, that's my opinion, but
why fix something that's not broken though?
Because I think
it's like taking the Hulk and making the Hulk a girl. Now I know they have that She-Hulk thing on HBO or whatever. I've looked at one episode and I'm like,
no. She-Hulk?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's terrible. It's terrible because like actually that's why my other Twitter page got banned, because I said something ugly about the writer. Or may allegedly.
I mean, just like you keep saying, you should be entitled to your opinion. You offend somebody, oh well, they can either get over it or just ignore what you say. I mean, instead you get banned. I mean, all that stuff is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Actually I didn't say it to the showrunner. I actually said it to somebody that I was friends with, and some snowflake was upset by my language.
Yeah.
And decided to, it was my third, 3 strikes you're out, and but I'm back. So, but whatever. Yeah, it's a terrible show. It's sad because I do love, I think her name is Titania Maslany. I really do like her. She's a good actress. She was in Orphan Black, which I do love that show. And it's a real shame because she's perfectly cast. It's nothing against her. It's just, it's stupid. Like, Anyway, I mean, they could have made a really cool She-Hulk show.
Yeah.
But again, with Chris, it's just like, Chris, you know, it's like, I think you really did think that we were all going to love this, because I really think that I don't think like his intention was to destroy Doctor Who. I mean, I don't think that was his intention. I think because he's so arrogant and he thinks everybody thinks like he does, like a typical someone of his ilk and his ideology thinks that everyone thinks like him. So of course they're going to love this. Of course they're going to love all this climate change talk. Of course they're going to love a woman doctor that bashes men. Of course they're going to love all this stuff. And I think the fact that they didn't, I think it shocks him. I still think he's shocked by all this. He probably thinks we're all like ignorant cretins, you know. But this is what happens when people like you know, Hollywood or the BBC, they live in their own bubble, and it's a real epidemic. Retro Doc says, I don't consider myself a vindictive person, but I really hope he is a colossal failure at anything he attempts after this. Mm-hmm.
Does anybody even know what he's writing now or who he's writing for?
I actually haven't.
Not that we care.
I haven't bothered looking anything up about
Okay.
IMDb, you know. If somebody in the chat would like to do that and let us know what Chibnall's writing now, or if he's a showrunner for, so we can avoid it, that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
Malazny, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, was in Ginger Snaps 2. She was wasted in She-Hulk. Yeah. She's a really great actress. If you haven't watched Orphan Black, that's a great show.
Okay.
I totally get it. It feels like the act of deliberate vandalism. I'm assuming that's just talking about Doctor Who. You know, because I've said this before. I presume he must be gay because only a gay actor can play a gay character, apparently. So I don't know if you're talking about Chris Chibnall or which I have thought, you know, the way he's written a lot of the Torchwood episodes that were very gay centric, it makes me wonder, although he's married to a woman, but I'm assuming you're talking about either Shooty or Jinkx. And I don't know. Shooty's never said whether he was or not, which I do actually appreciate that. Because I think it's a private thing.
Exactly.
I think. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So enough about Chris Chibnall. Ugh, yuck. So let's go on to this. This article is actually kind of an interesting one, especially fans that love to like collect novels and things like that. The Doctor Who 60th anniversary celebrated with new series of novels, and they're going to do it by decades, which I think is very interesting. So they're going to start the upcoming Doctor Who 60th anniversary continues to build fanfare with a slew of new books now confirmed to mark the occasion. 6 brand new novels are set to be released, which will each be inspired by a different era in the long-running sci-fi show's history. With the show's diamond anniversary taking place this November, the books are set to be released on the 26th of October. BBC Books has yet to reveal the titles for each of the books, but we do know the eras that will be covered, as well as a vague plot points as revealed in the synopsis. They will be penned by authors who will be known to Whovians, like Jacqueline Rayner. I don't know who she is. Dave Rudden. I'm sure RetroDoc knows some of these people. While there will also be stories from Tasha Suri, Caitlin Barron, Nikita Gill, and Mark Griffiths. The books include 1960s by Jacqueline Rayner with a synopsis that reads, "It's Christmas 1963. I already like it. When a 6-year-old Gerald starts playing a new game, Daleks. It's a game full of dangers and daring and terrible mutated monsters. Gerald's parents think it's harmless at first. But then things start getting out of hand as Gerald insists there are Yetis in the basement." I think it sounds like a Troughton story. And Cybermen invading London, desperate for help. What Gerald's family really need right now is a doctor. Okay, that sounds good. In the 70s, focus on London in 1978, where tensions are high. The synopsis reads, Seema and her family are struggling, but she has learned to keep her head down, not create trouble. That is until she and her 2 friends, Terrence and... I read that Idjit. It's Inderjit. Decide to join an anti-National Front protest in the East End. And when trouble does inevitably find them, the friends are saved by the appearance of a mysterious, seemingly broken down bus. But inside this bus is like nothing any of them have ever seen. It's a journey through the most wonderful landscapes where visions of hopes and dreams envelope the lost group. A bus. That means that the chameleon circuit's been fixed. Who or what is this strange place? The tall, grumpy man with white hair might know the answers, but then he seems just as scary as they are. So, okay. It could be anybody. It could be Peter Capaldi. It could be Pertwee. It could be Hartnell.
Yeah.
And then obviously the 80s is going to be like Tom Baker. And you guys can look up the article and read all. I mean, this is like they go into all the synopsis, and then they do the naughties. And they do one with the 2000s, and I think this is the one where they do it with Rose and the Doctor. And then they do one with Catherine Tate, like Donna and the 10th Doctor, and so on and so on. But I think this is really interesting. And I would definitely be interested in finding out like some of the stories, like the one that sounds obviously like it's Troughton sounds really good. Something would be cool. Like maybe they'll make audio versions out of them as well. Sometimes they do that.
Well, I'm sure they're going to make a game now, Daleks, whatever. All I'm thinking is, the game Shoots and Ladders. I'm thinking Daleks and Ladders.
Yeah. Wouldn't that, I'd play it. I mean, I'd play it.
Heck yeah. Why not? So
these stories sound like they're not Doctor adventures, but about others' encounters with them. Yeah, it does, but it's still cool. I mean, I'm okay with it from that perspective. The perspective of the people that meet him, because those are always interesting to me. Like, what's their like? If you met the Doctor, your perception would be different from your viewpoint than obviously his viewpoint out to meeting you.
Right.
I think that would be cool. Like, I actually have written some fanfic, very little, but I always write it from my perspective. Like I'm the companion talking about the Doctor, because I think that's a very interesting way to view him. But yeah, that's wait. Oh, look, the Weeping Angels again. I'm shocked. Yeah. I mean, I think some of the stories are probably like kind of like rehashing the newer ones, but I think the classic ones sound interesting. And I'd probably be more interested in that.
And they come out in October, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. I think why isn't there a story about a podcaster who meets Capaldi's Doctor and then spends a night in jail on a stalking charge?
Well, I'm game. Are you game? That sounds good to me.
Sounds like a good time on a Saturday night.
Why not?
Hanging out in the bushes, waiting for Capaldi to come out of his hotel room or his house, and then his wife like freaks out and calls the police. Didn't the Yeti first appear in Troughton's era? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's a Troughton story, which I'd be very interested in getting that one. And I don't know. Maybe they'd be good. We never know. You never know till you read them. So, okay. So let's get on to speaking of Capaldi and stalking and taking for him on the internet, like I've been doing for 2 days. So this is one that I kind of got in trouble on a forum somewhere. Not got in trouble, but I got into a debate about this. And I think this is more of a subjective kind of disagreement. Like here's where like I have a problem with this person saying he could do better with Capaldi's stories. Is he's from the J&T era. I don't know if you've watched any J&T era Doctor Who.
No.
How far in the 80s you've got?
I've seen a good bit of Tom Baker's episodes, and I don't know how much Peter Davison I watched, but
okay. So the guy that's basically not complaining. I'm not saying he's complaining. I'm saying he's saying that he could do better than Moffat did in series 8, 9, and 10. He feels like a lot of people feel that Capaldi was a fabulous actor, which we all agree with, but he was let down by bad stories, which I disagree with, because I think every doctor has bad stories in their era. I don't care who they are, Tom Baker included.
Right.
And so my issue with this is it's who's complaining and saying they could do better. It's somebody from an 80s era Doctor Who. And how do I put this without offending people? 80s era Doctor Who is not the golden era of Doctor Who. Maybe it is to the person that's grew up with it. And I get that. You see things with rose-colored glasses, but it lost some steam, okay? And this guy, which is Stephen Gallagher, wrote Terminus and Warrior's Gate. And I know a lot of people, including Neil Hardiman and Julie, love Warrior's Gate. That's fine. Great. It's not my thing. It was a Tom Baker episode. It was their season 18. I felt like that by then Tom Baker was just kind of phoning it in, not because he's not a good actor, because the scripts were just not as good. There was State of Decay was a good episode, but Warrior's Gate was, and then Terminus is a Davidson story, which I'm not a fan of. So here's a person that wrote 2 stories that I absolutely do not like, saying that they could do better than Moffat, which, okay, if it was somebody like Robert Holmes or Terrence Dix or Terry Nation or Chris Boucher, who wrote a lot of the great stories from the classic, what I consider the golden era of classic Who, I would say, fine, that I agree. I think you would do a better job, but I just can't wrap my head around somebody from the J&T era writing, to me, not the worst stories, but not the greatest, thinking they could do better than Moffat. I think Moffat gets a lot of unfair treatment. No, not all of the stories were good. No, not all the characters he created were good. No, not all his characters he created were like not annoying like Clara was at some point. But I think every era there's some badly written episodes with doctors, including Matt Smith, including David Tennant, including all of them.
Right.
Some more than others, like Jodie Whittaker. But I'm just saying though, even Colin Baker, all of them, they've had bad stories. And my thing is like, look, if you're going to pick on something, if you're going to pick on an era that you can improve, why is it always Peter Capaldi that people are talking about? Why not say, I could have improved Colin Baker's era, or I could have improved Jodie Whittaker's era? Why do you always pick on Peter Capaldi? And the only thing I can come to, and this might be a conspiracy theory, is that he was right before Jodie Whittaker. And ever since she took over, it seems like there's been Capaldi bashing to the 10,000 degree. And after I see it over and over again, I get a little pissed off because it's like, why can't you say the obvious? And the obvious is Jodie Whittaker was the one that you need to focus on, because that's the one that needs improvement, not Stephen Moffat and not Peter Capaldi. And I get really tired of it. So that's my rant of the week. And I know people don't agree with me. I know that. But this is just another way for the BBC to get these stories written and bashing on poor Peter Capaldi, and I'm tired of it. And if that makes me a stan, it makes me a stan. I
sure would love to be able to sit down and talk with him about what he thinks, but I don't know if we'd ever get an honest answer from him, really, about any of it. I know he's a Whovian through and through. He grew up with it, watching the show, and I know he played his character as close to John Pertwee and Troughton, as he could, because that was his doctor, and yet he still made him his own. He had maybe a few bad writing spots,
and all do, and
they all do.
Guarantee, like, I think it's subjective. Some people don't like certain episodes. Some people aren't as big fans of certain doctors. I totally get it. Like, some people, but I. Like, even his bad ones, like, they're definitely watchable. He elevates them. I don't think they're the worst thing. I think there's like little side things that people don't like, and I think it just gets. Rewatch it again. My homework is to go and rewatch all of Capaldi's series and then tell me that this is any different than any other Doctor. David Tennant had horrible. Love and Monsters is a terrible episode. Fear Her is a terrible episode. There's tons of terrible episodes with Chris. There's some terrible episodes with Christopher Eccleston too, but people focused on Peter. Why? This is the best man that you've had play the Doctor in New Who, in my opinion.
I think they focus on him because of his age.
Some, I'm not saying all of people. I know,
You know,
Kelly doesn't. I know that's not what it is. She generally does not like certain episodes, and I truly believe she really believes that, right? See, but I don't see that it was. Look, there was some diversity in Moffat, but it wasn't as bad as what came afterwards, or any different than what RTD did, in my opinion. It really wasn't. People were upset about Missy. I think they kind of like, they throw in the character's personality in as bad writing. And I think that as much as people didn't like Clara, that was her story. Clara was annoying. Clara's a human person. And, you're not always going to like people. Even people you like originally, they can do something and then they go on this thing where they just annoy the hell out of you. To me, that was real. And I like that. But.
And it took Claire a while to grow on with me. I didn't like her at first.
I liked her better with Capaldi than I did with
definitely.
Matt Smith.
Definitely.
I actually did, because you know why? She was so moony over Matt Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And I did love when Vastra called her on her shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I enjoyed that. See, this is the thing. Like, I liked the fact that she was very complicated. She wasn't just straightforward. She had her flaws, a lot of flaws. And I like that. And the reason why I think it failed, the story, the moral lesson he was trying to do in the whole with her and Danny Pink, and at the end when she's like when she's throwing what she thinks is the keys to the TARDIS,
right,
in the fire, and he comes in and and she ends up helping her anyway, despite the fact that she betrayed him, that she would have done that. To me, he was trying to get around to is like, he was trying to say the Doctor forgives Clara for being a bitch.
Right.
We should too. And I just don't think people got that. And I think that was the thing. And that's something that I did get, Yeah.
And that episode, I remember watching that and I'm like, oh my God, when I first saw it, you're really treating him this way, this wonderful man who's shown you so much,
Right.
So yeah, I get it.
But I think, look, he was just trying to show a real person, regardless if, I don't really think he was, look, she was a brat. I mean, there was times that she was a brat. She thought she knew better than the Doctor. And she ended up getting pie, like egg on her face at the end of it. And realizing that, the Doctor is the only person that had her back.
Yeah, and he showed us
to the end. He had her back, and I loved it.
He showed us
didn't love her all the time, and that's the great thing about these characters, is that you're not going to love them every second of the way. And I surely didn't love Clara every second of the way. I didn't.
No, but he definitely showed us how we as humans are supposed to love each other, period, no matter what. And that's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, really and I think that's what he was trying to do. It failed. He didn't do the job of quite expressing that in a way that people, and I think he realized Danny Pink was a bad idea, because you saw he died. They got rid of him. So that was a smart move, because I hated him.
I didn't like the character.
He was very controlling. He was a toxic relationship. The toxic relationship wasn't her and the Doctor, it was her and Danny.
Right.
I mean, I was sad for her, but but I think it's just preference, like I didn't mind that. I didn't mind, maybe I'm a simple person, but I didn't mind the Impossible Girl. I didn't mind that. It's like there's things I just didn't mind. Maybe I'm just a simple watcher and I just enjoy that. And yes, there's loopholes and there's problems with it, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Clara's evolution, good and bad. There's one thing I don't think they should have done, is when she slapped the Doctor, and I think why she slapped the Doctor was just a horrible reason, and it seemed out of place, is Into the Dalek.
Yeah,
I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
So again, I think it's just personal preference. I don't hold it against everybody. I just get a little hot. I get hot in the collar Just when I see articles like this,
Mm-hmm.
and I see a lot of them, and I see a lot of regurgitation. He's a gay actor, held down by bad stories. Well, so is Davison then, because Peter Davison was a good actor. And Caves of Androzani showed he was a great actor and completely capable if they let him do what he was going to do, wanted to do. But he was the one that was held down by bad scripts. That is the one that was held down bad, and that was because of people like this guy and people like J&T thinking they know what the fans needed. So that's my rant of the day.
My son making all kinds of noise and
It's all right.
running through the house.
It's okay. It's
and
okay.
then looking at me weird as he runs by. I'm like, really?
That's what makes it fun. You just never know what's going to happen. And so, Michelle Minks, yes, I know. I like Clara with the 11th Doctor. Yes, I know. I think we all have just different ideas about who the Doctor is and what we prefer and who we prefer them with. And to me, I always like Clara with him better. And I liked River better with the 12th too. Nothing against Matt Smith. I thought it looked better.
Yeah, she fit him. Definitely.
I liked Clara when she was a Dalek, but they should have left it at that. I mean, opinion, that's fine. Mr. Hyde, Clara, yes. I don't know what you agree on, but thank you. I appreciate that. Someone has my back, but again, I think it's a preference. I think 60s and 70s is the golden era. And FYI, I also think that Capaldi's era is part of the golden era, but that's just me.
I have to agree. From my limited of classic Who, I love Peter's era. I really do.
Mm-hmm. To me, he embodied all of the Doctors in one body, which elevated, it 1,000-fold. And again, every Doctor has horrible episodes, and we could do a stream just pointing out all the bad episodes. And I might just do that just to prove a point. People have forgotten. I just started watching the Davison era. Okay, I think there's more to that, but I've only seen 2 stories so far. I've liked them. Oh, you know what? Everybody has, different preferences. It's fine. It's totally fine. I was not like, after Baker, I was who is this joker? Who is this guy? Dare step in the shoes of Tom Baker. But I actually like Davison now.
Well, I had that same feeling when Eccleston, regenerated into Tennant. I'm like, oh my God, who's this? Yeah. And so I'm like looking up who's David Tennant, So
I can't. Well, I could say it, but I was pretty upset when Tennant regenerated anyway. And when he regenerated to Smith, I mean, I will say, who's this MFer? Who's this goofy? But I've come to like Matt Smith a lot. It's taken me a bit, and I mean, change is hard in the Doctor Who community. It really is. We're a bunch of, for a show about change. We resist it. We really do sometimes, and
we do. And I think those poor actors, when they go on to something else, they don't want to be typecast, oh, well, here's Doctor Who. They want to okay, yeah, we played that character. Yes, we're always going to be the Doctor, but that's not what I'm doing now. I want to move on.
Right.
So
I agree, Michelle. Matt Smith played the Doctor really good for how old he picked to play. Yeah, he did. I respect him because he went back and rewatched everything from all of classic before he took on that role, and he kind of zoned in on Troughton. And once I watched Troughton, then I could get back. Then I can understand what he was doing, and then I could get into Smith because then I understood what he was trying to do. So I invite everybody that hasn't watched classic, if you really want to understand who the Doctor is, watch from the beginning to Capaldi. Don't go in.
Now, I personally would love to see a Malcolm Tucker version of the Doctor.
Oh yeah. There was a video where somebody put together right before he took right after he was chosen, that this video of him clips together and them doing, like him being the doctor and kind of like as Malcolm Tucker, and it was really funny. Look it up on YouTube. It's really funny. It has a lot of language in it. Yes, you should start, because and you're gonna rewatch them. You really are, and you're gonna have your favorites, and you're gonna have ones that you didn't like so much at first, and then you go. That's why I'm saying rewatch. Rewatch something that you may not have understood before or liked, because I watched Caves of Androzani. Here's a good example of Davison, and I was like, it's okay, because by then I was just annoyed. Like, I was annoyed with the whole thing because I did think he got a bad rap because the stories weren't that great to me, and it seemed like it'd gone downhill. But when I watched Caves of Androzani for a stream, I came back with it with a new appreciation, and I actually love that story now. So rewatch, it's important to do that, because you do miss stuff. Doctor Who is a little classic. I think is really complex, especially, so you need to rewatch some of those. Except for Terminus and Warrior's Gate, don't watch that. Yeah, not a fan. And there's some other ones too, that aren't that great either. The Davis, but there's some really great ones too. So I think it's a preference thing. That's just my opinion. So we're at the very, very, very end of our stream.
Yay.
And I'm going to take a minute before we're going to ask if somebody wants to come on and be a guest, if that's what you want to do. Give your opinion about everything we've talked about today. Just have the floor. But before that, here is Michelle's husband's company, Nine Toed Designs, custom laser engravings and designs, tile, glass, wood, and metal. And so there's all the information. So if you guys are interested, and let me show you something that they sent me that I absolutely adored. Of course, I'm very careful with this. I was scared to take it down. But here's the John Pertwee that her husband had made for me and sent to me graciously, and I do appreciate it. So if you guys were interested in like buying a gift or just buying something for yourself, contact them and they'll hook you up.
The 9 toes are like that for a reason. He has a toe amputated on his left foot, so that's why the 9 toe.
I was wondering that, but I was like, well, that's kind of catchy, 9 toe.
Well, diabetes, gotta love it.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the cool thing, though. Like, he took something that, what a lot of people would think is a flaw, and he made it into something beautiful. Yep. So there you go.
Yep. But you guys can reach out to him and check out the Facebook, and that QR code should take you right to it. So
I don't know, but there's some things I've done that's got to be kept secret.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just shoot us an email or whatever.
All right.
So
no, not that. No. No. All right. All right. Kelly, I have to watch it from the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to take this from the studio. And now we're going to, I can put the link in. We can do musical chairs again if you want. And I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to bravely put this in. I've done this before, and you never know what you're going to get, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to put it in the chat. Whoever wants to grab it, go for it. And we'll just sit there and talk amongst ourselves until somebody takes the bait and comes on.
Some poor sap. Anybody going to come join us?
Yeah. Come join the two crazy women here.
Yeah. While everybody around me is getting food. Oh. There's hamburgers being cooked.
Oh, yeah. We're grilling today.
Oh.
We're gonna grill again today because it's a fun thing to do. We're gonna put some like a roast on the grill, and then I got some hot dogs just to throw on there. I don't know. That just sounds good today.
It does sound good.
Yeah. Use code AndyRant and get a latte cup coupon.
Sounds good today.
Hey,
Hello there.
Yeah.
how are you?
Use code AndyRant and get a latte cup. Hey.
Hello there.
Yeah.
I'm hearing myself.
Code AndyRant.
Oh God,
My bad. Sorry.
it's okay.
Forgot to mute YouTube. My bad. I do that a lot, unfortunately.
Well, we all do. I'm just. It's amazing. I actually got. I just click buttons and hope for the best.
No, I do it on the other stream I do too. Occasionally we'll have echoes, and that's me. Because I keep forgetting to hit mute.
Yeah, I've done that on my own, and it's like, yeah.
Sorry, I missed the first few minutes, but
It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's glad to hear your voice. I've seen you on PJ's stream, but I haven't really gotten to sit down for just a full, the full hour and a half or so to listen. But
hour and a half.
I was stalking. There's probably more than that, but
there's been a couple of times we've been there 4 hours, 5 hours.
Oh God. See, I used to do that, but I can't do that anymore because I'm just like, but
well, Colin can attest in that we and Wendy obviously can attest that we do sit there a very long time.
Yeah. I
bring a comfortable chair up to my upstairs into the guest room so I can last that long.
Right. Yeah. It's I got a cushion in my chair and a pillow back here, like a little pillow, lumbar pillow, and yeah, it has all kinds of things that I learned. Especially if you have Gary on.
There it is. I have no lights on in here. It's pitch dark in here. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm pretty dark in here too.
No makeup.
You look great.
Yep, you look fine.
Well, thanks. Fine. So I was trying to say, I put in there earlier that it's not Capaldi. It's that I had very, very, very high standards for him. I expected better from his era than I think I got.
Right.
And a lot of it's because, sorry boys, I really don't like Clara.
Totally understand.
Apologizing to the boys because they love her.
Yeah.
And because, as I also mentioned earlier, it just seemed that she started taking over the show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And to quote myself, it was Doctor Who starring Jenna Coleman and featuring Peter Capaldi as the Doctor.
Right.
And I resented that.
Right. I think a lot of people did. I think a lot of people viewed it that way. I think he made a lot of mistakes trying to, I think he had a story arc that he was interested in, and he kind of just went off the beam with it. Yes, I do agree. But, I think it's just like it's a preference thing. I hated Danny Pink more than Clara.
God, I hated Danny Pink.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand him either.
God, I hated Danny Pink.
He was so abusive.
Yeah.
Completely abusive.
Emotionally abused her. Kept
right. It was
blackmail all the time.
Right. And it was
exactly.
And then it was
not a healthy relationship.
And then he used the whole thing, I'm a soldier. That's why I'm abusing you. That's how I took it at. And it's like, dude, that's an insult to veterans.
And then at the one time he did a good thing when he let that child come back rather than him, it was too little too late.
Right.
He did not redeem himself in my eyes.
No. I agree. I remember getting into arguments in the forum about Danny Pink being called a racist. That was kind of when all that started because I didn't like Danny Pink. Yeah.
I know you're not allowed to like or dislike people based on the color, on the content of their character. Literally character, considering he's an actor. It's interesting. I was this is too long to have mentioned in chat, but today's Wall Street Journal has a really interesting column by an author whose name escapes me. I've never read any of his books, but he talked about how his latest novel, and he's had maybe 15, 16 bestsellers, his latest book was rejected because it was a novel about Black people in Georgia, and he's a white guy from the Northeast. You're not allowed to write about anything you don't know firsthand.
That's stupid.
It's
That's
like
sad.
it's like what we were saying before. That Tatiana Maslany's brother Daniel must be gay because the character he plays is gay. And you're
Yeah.
not allowed to be a straight person playing gay anymore. Except don't forget in oh God, what's the name of that show with the gay guy? The two friends. He's gay, she's not.
Oh, Will and Grace. Will and
Yeah.
Grace.
Will and Grace. John Barrowman was turned down from that show for not being gay enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other guy isn't.
And
gay
the other
at all
guy
in
who's
real
in it
life.
is not gay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
my word.
Right. So it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. And I think even Russell T Davies actually thinks that only gay actors should play gay characters, which I think is ridiculous.
And John Lithgow, the first time I ever saw John Lithgow, he played a trans woman.
Yeah, in World
Garp.
According to Garp.
He was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant actor. So
That's
he
what
can get away with it.
acting is, right?
Exactly.
You have to
That's the whole point of acting.
right.
You know,
Right.
and Nathan Lane in The Birdcage proved that a straight man could play a gay man playing a straight man.
Actually, Nathan Lane is gay.
He is
Yeah.
gay? Well,
Yeah.
Very gay.
Very, very, very gay.
oh, well, anyway, I
Well,
still
now
love
you know.
him. You know, but
Yeah.
I mean, he was brilliant.
But he's good
Well,
at playing
he
a
was brilliant.
straight man too. I mean, in
Yeah.
the Mouse Hunt, he played straight in Mouse Hunt. So
Yeah. In
You know,
he
it
was
doesn't
he was on Broadway in A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. He played the Zero Mostel character, just as he did
Oh.
play the Zero Mostel character in The Producers on Broadway.
right.
And both characters are straight.
Yeah.
And he was believable because he's such a good actor.
Right. So it doesn't, to me, gay people should be able to play straight characters. Straight people could play vice versa, whatever. If you're a good actor, Peter Capaldi played in Benediction. He played a gay man.
Yeah.
Well, he played a transvestite or whatever the
Yeah.
official word is these days in oh God, what's the name of that one with Helen Mirren?
I don't think I've seen that.
Prime Suspect.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I've heard about that.
He was brilliant. His usual brilliant self.
Right.
Well, even
so
Zachary Quinto in the new Star Trek series, he's a gay actor, and he played straight as Spock because him and the girl playing Uhura, Zoe, they had an on-screen relationship. So,
well, look at Neil Patrick Harris.
Right.
He was in How I Met Your Mother playing, using the good old 18th century word, a rake. I mean, the guy was a cad.
right. He's
Sleep with
also
anything on the grass.
He's also in Harold and Kumar, in
Right.
White Castle. And he
Right.
was crazy in that. He was a crazy straight guy. He played himself if he was straight.
Right.
And
He's
it
a
was like
terrific
just,
actor. He
he's
can
a
do
good
anything he
actor.
wants.
That's what, I'm surprised they haven't gone back and, said a lot of things about Peter Capaldi playing gay men. He's obviously not gay, but,
You're not allowed to do anything like that anymore. I mean, Othello can only be played by a black man.
Mhm.
And which I get because there are a lot of black actors.
Right.
But this whole Dylan Mulvaney thing, if a white person does blackface, you can't do that. But a man who's still got his junk playing a woman,
It's totally
why is that
fine.
acceptable?
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, he's doing ads for Tampax.
I know. I saw that. And I was just like, this is insulting to women.
It creeps me out completely. Yes, Michelle Minx is right. Patrick Swayze played a drag queen.
Yeah, it was Tu Wong
Wong
Fu. Thanks
Yep.
for everything, Julie Newmar.
Yep.
And I actually like
Molly
that
Ronald
movie a
was
lot.
actually a great
I actually think it's a great movie.
based on Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and Guy
Yeah.
Pearce was in it, and I think he's straight.
Right. Terrence Stamp too, and he's straight.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
That I
Somebody-
don't know. I don't know him well enough.
Yeah, he's a great actor. He's also in Superman, but
Don't get me started on Dylan Mulvaney. Oh yeah, right. Oof.
yeah, it's everywhere.
It
It's
is.
everywhere. I mean, I think, what I think? I think if Bud Light would have kind of made that more of a joke, like they're joking around, I think it would have been received better because back in the 80s, they would do stuff like that,
Yeah.
But I just think the fact that they're really seriously like doing like it's activism. I think that's the problem. They have no sense of humor. You know, people have been kind of like drag queens and all that. That's been a part of all culture for a long time in movies and TV and you know, as like the Birdcage and shows like that. But it's just the fact it's
such a
just,
great movie.
Yeah, it was.
Love it.
Such a great movie.
Well done too, and not like I mean, there was
Robin
political
Williams
stuff
playing a
in
gay
it.
man in that movie,
Yeah,
and
Oh,
he's
yeah.
not.
no,
What?
he was fabulous in that movie.
He was fantastic.
Him and Nathan Lane together. Oh my god! Like
They
I
were
was
such
like
a cute
on that
couple.
movie, and I was laughing. I'm probably disturbed people because I was laughing so hard and so loud in that movie because it was so funny. Him
Well,
and
it's
Nathan.
funny. I saw The Birdcage after I'd already seen the original French movie, La Cage aux Folles,
Yeah,
in French, because I'd been living in France, and I came back and I saw the movie in the States at an art house in French, and then I saw The Birdcage, and it's really very well done in comparison with the original.
I don't think I've
I-
ever watched the
pretty
original all the way through. I think I've seen
pretty
clips.
well with it. Pretty well to it. I was impressed
Yeah.
because they make up so much stuff that it's hard to tell these days.
And I think that movie now wouldn't be able to be made the way it was back in 1996.
Certainly not with Robin Williams.
No. Well, no, certainly not. But sadly. But yeah, I remember just I absolutely adore that movie, and now they would find problems with it. They're making fun of it. I'm like, no, it's like the way that they did it was endearing. You actually cared about the
Exactly.
characters. Oh, Gary, I envy Rip Van Winkle. I'd love to just take a 20-year nap and wake up when the insanity is hopefully over. No, I don't think I'd want to do that because I can distract myself with good stuff. So, you know, and just like if Doctor Who doesn't end up being good, I can distract myself with good stuff. There's plenty of stuff to watch. You just have to go find it. You have to watch old stuff and, you know, read books and.
There's a lot of stuff to watch and not enough time to watch it in.
Exactly.
No.
My wish list is way too long. I'm still working on Doctor Who, and I'm still only up to Peter Davison, and I've been doing it since 2017.
Wow. I think when I did it, like I remember binging during Harvey, which was the flood that happened here. It was terrible.
That, yeah.
Thankfully we kept our power, so to keep myself to focusing on all the negative, I had BritBox on, and I was I remember finishing John Pertwee's era, and it was flooding outside, and I remember being just very thankful that I could watch something that would distract me through all that mess, because it was pretty scary, and I was just like, well, at least I have the doctor. And but I remember like going, it was almost like I couldn't get enough of it. I think I did it too fast. I think you're doing it the right way. You're absorbing it better, because I had to keep rewatching.
Because I do admit there are times when I'll go months at a time without watching, because there are so many other things you want to watch.
Right.
Right.
And then I come back and then I'll binge several stories over the course of a weekend.
Yeah, and that's the best way to do it. I was like literally every day coming home from work, this is what we're going to watch, and this is what because I get focused on things, and I get obsessive, and so when I'll keep watching something until I get tired of it. But I got through it. Like Dark Shadows, that was the ultimate binge.
Dark Shadows.
And that was hard. That was actually harder than watching Doctor Who, not because it's bad, just because there's so many episodes.
Yeah, I noticed that last weekend. I started watching Dark Shadows on whatever streaming service, and it was like Victoria, you know, she talks about, tells who she is, and it was like in the next episode we finally get to see a glimpse of Barnabas, and I'm like, okay. And then my husband finds another streaming service with it, and it starts like way back. You get Paul Collins' history.
Yeah, it's the beginning we're talking about.
Is it Tubi or Pluto that has all of them?
I think, which one did I watch? I think Freevee has them as well, which is Prime.
Okay.
Yeah, they did. Now, when I was watching it, I needed to get the DVDs, but I don't want to shell out almost $300.
Yeah.
I have one DVD that I bought, but it's not in the order that needs to be. Yeah, the beginning, you really should start. If you don't want to start at the beginning, you don't have to. You can start with Barnabas. Yeah. But the beginning is interesting because that's pre-Barnabas, and it has a good story arc in there, with David's mother, which is really cool. That's when it started getting cool with the David's mother thing. And that's when it started going kind of the supernatural vein. And that's
Okay.
to me is when it got less gothic and more supernatural.
Okay.
But yeah, you could start with the beginning. The beginning is great.
You just don't get Barnabas right away.
Yeah, yeah. And if
I
you're
don't
really
like
into Barnabas,
Barnabas.
just get right to
Yeah.
Barnabas.
We all
you know.
love Barnabas. Everybody.
But go back and watch it, at some point.
Michelle,
Oh,
It's
yeah.
very interesting.
and there's that movie about Jonathan Frid that's fantastic.
Yes, I did watch that.
You did too? Yeah, because I know Wendy.
Yeah.
Wendy watched
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I got really obsessed with Dark Shadows for a while. And I still get back into it. I could still watch it right now. I could just
I need
just
to
talking
start
about
that
it. I just
from the
love it.
beginning, 'cause I saw it when it was actually on the first time, but I
Mhm.
don't remember as much as I probably should.
Well, no. I mean, there's so many episodes. How can anybody? And I think there's what,
David
10 story
Selby's
arcs?
still alive and doing Big Finish box sets.
David Selby?
Yeah,
Oh, I love David Selby.
everybody loved David Selby.
I
He
still
was-
still handsome.
He was somebody a lot of the girls in school had a crush on, but he's still doing Big Finish.
Yes, and I actually recommend some of the Dark Shadows Big Finish, which I need to get back into. There's just so much. Why is there so much? And not enough time.
I didn't even realize they'd showed it in the UK and that people over there knew enough about it to write stories about it.
Gary, I'm gonna shoot you. Don't say that. That is blasphemy. Blasphemy. I was so disappointed. I was so excited about that movie. That's the thing, because I have good memories when I was a kid of watching it here and there. And I thought, oh, this is gonna be really good. And then I'd watched enough of it to know this is not Dark Shadows. This is a joke.
It's
Yeah,
just
my
a vampire
husband-
story.
My husband didn't like the Johnny Depp one either.
I wanted something
I
serious.
didn't see it.
I didn't want that.
I didn't see it because I didn't want to tarnish my memories of the original.
Don't do it. Was it Selby who did the Tony? I don't know.
I don't
Maybe you would
remember
know.
either.
He did Falcon Crest,
Yes, he did. He did.
but he had the perm. I don't know what was up with that. That was like,
It was the 70s into the 80s.
yeah, it
Or the
was.
80s, rather.
It
Falcon
was.
Crest
I like
was
his hair straighter. I actually
A lot
didn't
of
mind the
perms in
sideburns.
the 80s. There were a lot of perms in the 80s. Like
He's my
Colin
favorite
Hoover.
character, really, over Barnabas. I really do. I did really love his character a lot. It was so torn, and it was like you start out hating him. But of course, Barnabas is the same way. They use the same formula. But yeah, I liked him. I thought it was great, and the Big Finish is so good with him. So good. I can't remember the one story that I heard, but I was just like, "Oh, this is so good!" And they had the music; it was so good. Now I want to watch Dark Shadows today.
I mean, I still haven't even watched Blake 7, so I got to get into that too.
I haven't
It's good.
either.
It's really good. You can probably find it on Daily Motion. And the last time I
Really?
checked,
Well, they also have it on BritBox.
they do. You had BritBox, but if you
I
don't
do have
have
BritBox.
BritBox, you can watch it.
I've dumped several pay services, but I keep BritBox and I keep Acorn.
I kept
They're like the
BritBox
only
for a
two
long
left that I
time,
pay for.
but when I started collecting the classic series, I kind of thought, okay, I'll just drop it because it went up. And it was like it was $6.99 for a long time, and I think it went up.
I still keep it because there's a lot of other things I like to watch on it too.
Yeah,
But I have not watched, except for Shada, I've not watched the DVDs or Blu-rays because I don't want the special features to distract me. I
right,
just
and
wanna
it will.
watch the show the way it was originally broadcast and then move on.
Yeah, and it will.
Maybe my rewatch when I go all the way through and see Paul McGann again, and then keep moving through to Capaldi, and then
Yeah.
I'll start over from on the Blu-rays.
Yeah.
And-
And you know what? I can't help it. Like, I don't know why. Like, I can't just pop in the DVD and just watch the special features. I got to watch the episode first.
Oh, I
Even though
understand
I've seen
that,
it
but I don't
5
want
times.
the special features. I don't want to have get lost in the special features instead of moving on to the next episode.
Right. But even
That's
if you've seen it, like, I have to watch the episode before I go to the behind the sofas on the classic
Oh,
DVD.
absolutely. But
I don't know
am looking forward
why.
to watching
I mean,
them.
I could just watch, how many times do I've seen Robots of Death? It's ridiculous, but I'm going to watch Robots of Death before I watch special features.
Robots of Death is awesome. And I don't understand why Janet Fielding is in so many on the sofas that she was never in the damn story.
And she's annoying. Like, her comments are stupid. I'm sorry. You know what I wish they would do? I wish they would get a regular person that watched the classic era growing up on those things. That would be wonderful to have a real person on there that's a huge fan, that do a contest, everyone applies, then they pick somebody and they get to be a part of it. Why can't they do that?
That would be cool.
It would be
That
cool.
would be endearing.
That would be extremely cool.
I mean, if it would be Gary would be like, he'd be telling them stuff that like they've forgotten, I mean, it would be really cool though. It would be so cool to have someone like Gary, guess Gary's very knowledgeable in Doctor Who. People would probably hate me like Janet, feeling like, why is she on here again? Like, why does she get to be on here?
I mean, I'm only into, as I said, I'm only into my second Peter Davison story. And yes, Tegan is really annoying.
Oh my God.
I'm finding her even more annoying than Adric.
Yeah, it's about the same for me. I think Tegan probably wins though.
Yeah, it's bad. She doesn't stop whining. Adric at least is trying to help. He's just
yeah. And I love Nyssa. Like, I love Nyssa.
I think this is fantastic. Sarah Sutton has done a ton of Big Finish with Peter.
Yeah, she has, and they're really good. And I think that's where I started really liking Peter Davison's Big Finish. Same
here. I mean, as I'd said over Discord, I've only heard 5, 6, and 7 until now, and I'm just starting to watch 5.
Yeah,
I've never seen 6, never seen 7.
And I think it's better that way because I had not listened to Big Finish before I'd seen it, and I think I was prejudgmental. And Tom Baker had huge, he had huge shoes to fill, like after Tom Baker. So
I felt really awful for Peter Davison having to take over, but I highly recommend reading his autobiography.
Okay,
it's called "Is There Life Outside the Box?"
I've heard of it.
It's so good. So good. It's exactly what you'd expect of him. He's funny. He's self-deprecating. It's interesting. And he's kind.
Yeah.
He seems like a very kind man.
Yeah, he does.
In the books. In his book. Really
I think that's why when the thing happened with Twitter, I think that's what's so sad about that.
Yeah,
like, here's a very kind man. He didn't mean anything by that. He was just giving his opinion. That's it. End of story.
He is. Joe Martin fans aren't going to like this, but he is the first Doctor of Color.
Yeah, and we talked about that in Discord, and I've heard that before, but I completely forgot until you mentioned it, and I was like, yeah.
His father was a Guyanese immigrant to England during the war. And very patriotic man, obviously mixed race himself, and yet he produces this blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid.
Yeah, and you would never know.
Yeah, but if you go by the one-drop rule that the left does,
right,
that makes him the first Doctor of Color.
Yeah.
Your Honor, I rest my case.
The first Black male doctor over Shooty.
Exactly.
So that's cool though.
It is.
I mean, it's shocking because you look at him and go, wait a minute.
I know.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. He's a fabulous actor. And I think it's a preference thing. Some people really enjoy his scripts. There's some that are great in there though. Like I like Black Orchid. That's a good one. Margarine Undead.
Twin Kinda, kinda. I don't know.
Yeah, not a fan of that. But
I think the rabbi told me to be on the lookout for it.
Oh, he's a fan.
I couldn't tell. He just said,
Kinda's a weird one.
Let me know what you like.
Wait till you see the snake. It's real good special
I'm
effects.
like in Indiana Jones. They didn't tell me there'd be snakes.
Yeah, well, this snake's not scary, just weird. But I guess you know, if you're into that thing, you know, like there's certain ones that I like that I liked. Oh God, what is that episode? I can't remember right now.
I like Fort of Doomsday.
Yes, that's the one.
I really liked Fort of Doomsday.
Yeah, I did too. I think that's a really good one. I'm surprised they haven't canceled that one yet for stereotypes. I need to get his Blu-rays so that doesn't.
Well, that's why I bought that. That's precisely why I went out and I bought used hard copies of the Towns of Wang Chiang and Planet of the Spiders.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them feature white men playing Asians.
Yeah.
I figured they'd be the first to be canceled, so I made sure to buy hard copies before the Blu-ray.
Yeah, I have a copy of Talons other than the Blu-ray.
Well, this is before the Blu-rays.
Right. And I didn't get Planet of the Spiders because I guess I didn't think of that because I didn't really think of him like, I don't know, it didn't seem offensive to me. Neither one sounds offensive to me either. But
did you ever see Breakfast at Tiffany's?
I did. Mickey Rooney.
Yeah,
that was
that was kind of cringy.
It was actually worse than Talons because it was
very cringy.
But the guy that played that character was just great. I mean,
he was terrific, and obviously they can't let that sit.
No.
But by the time they moved into Fort of Doomsday, they were having Asians playing Asians and black people playing black
but
people.
It's still stereotypes because the way they're represented.
Oh, absolutely.
But
Andy needs to do a
that would be funny. Every time there's a stereotype, take a shot.
just mainline it, Ivy.
And so I'm drinking Dr. Pepper today.
Mm-hmm.
I had too many buttons to push. If it was like if I was drinking, I'd be like, that's not happened today. Good night, everybody. I'm going to go take a nap.
I'm going to have to cut out soon because I'm doing
me too. We're going to
18 minutes.
I
got to get my wine in my comfy chair.
Right. See, that's a nice thing about being on other people's streams. You can drink because you don't have to worry about anything. You just show up. Yeah. So I think we're going to end it here. This has been great. It's been great talking to you.
It was nice meeting you all.
Yeah. Face to face because we talk like every day, but we don't.
I know. We've been friends for how many years now? We've never officially met in person.
I know.
And your package, I will hope to send it on Friday.
That's fine. No hurry.
Well,
no hurry.
I feel bad.
No, don't feel bad.
It's in the envelope and everything. I just haven't posted it yet because
I'm looking forward to it. I haven't seen that movie in years.
I'm sending her my spare copy of Thoroughly Modern Millie.
Okay.
Which is one of my all-time favorite movies. I love this movie. Julie Andrews, Mary Tyler Moore, James Fox, Carol Channing, Jack Sue, John Gavin. Fantastic movie. Musical. Takes place in the 1920s. It's wonderful.
Oh, yeah. I love the 20s. 20s is a great time. I love the Gatsby movies, and I can't help it.
The clock costumes are wonderful. Beatrice Lilly's also in it. Oh, it's terrific. Yes, there are Asian stereotypes, which means, of course, you want to make sure you have a hard copy of it.
Right. Well, that's good. So that'll be good. I'm working on my very offensive movie collection. I have Little Britain and stuff like that too. So,
well, somewhere around here, I have a copy of Song of the South.
Oh yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Yep.
That's a great movie.
It is a good movie.
It's a
really
good
movie.
Yeah,
it is.
I
have good memories.
Once they started announcing they were canceling things, I bought, the Towns of Wen Chiang, Planet of the Spiders. I already had Trading Places, so I didn't need to worry about that. But I made sure to have a copy of Blazing Saddles.
Oh, yeah.
And I bought a copy of Gone with the Wind. And it did have a sticker on it saying maybe problematic or something like that, which I immediately ripped off.
Rip it off.
Yeah, ripped that off. So
it was history. It happened.
Yeah. Jeez.
Well, it was great having you on.
Yes,
we should definitely do a classic stream at some point. When you're
I thought-
done.
I know we've been talking about a 60s stream, and I
Yes,
am a
and
child of the 60s.
Yeah, and I'm working on that PowerPoint for that. I just haven't
Okay.
like I started it, and then you know how things go. You just
Yeah,
like
I
get
know.
busy, and so maybe this afternoon I'll sit down with it and finish getting all my little logos and stuff for each story that you guys have given me, and then so that is going to probably happen Memorial Day weekend sometime. We haven't really set a date, so we're just winging it.
Well,
at this
Memorial Day
point.
is a month and a half, so you have time.
All right.
Actually, not even a month and a half. It's like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So I think that's good because I want it to be perfect. As perfect as it can be.
I was going to say nothing's perfect. And
No.
I'm
I've literally, I'm surprised anything has gone right today. Well, it's
Anyway,
really
ladies,
great having you
care.
on.
It was good meeting you, and I will see you on the other side if you feel like coming over.
Sure. All right.
Okay, take care.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And that is going to be it, guys. And see you guys next week. I don't know what we're going to be talking about. Who knows? It's crazy. It's crazy with all this Doctor Who news. So who knows what we're going to hear about next week? But see you guys on the flip side.
See you guys
Bye.
next week.
Bye.